Hello everyone, it's me, Lucy again. Today I will review a new and quite interesting series, and now let's get right into the content. Another winter has come to the Tianyin sect, everywhere is covered in ice and snow, the cold air makes even the heart want to freeze. Meanwhile, in the room of Zhang Yijian, he is sitting by the fireplace in his room. Wrapped in a warm blanket, there is a pile of clutter scattered across the floor around him, looking utterly disorganized. Just by looking, it may seem messy, but those are all precious items, not magic weapons then skills. Anything that could be burned for warmth has been ruthlessly thrown into the fireplace by Zhang Yijian. The cold winter of an ordinary person like Zhang Yijian might pass like this. While sitting by the fire, he thought to himself, little guy, this winter in this world truly wants to take lives. I, Zhang Yijian from Earth, am currently at the 6th peak master of the Tianyin sect. As a crossover person, I have a system that gives me a reward every day, and what I draw from this system is mostly divine-level magic weapons. At this point, Zhang Yijian threw the skill he just drawn into the fireplace to burn. He sighed again, but these things are of no use to me, they can only be used to wipe my butt or start a fire. Zhang Yijian looked out at the freezing sky and thought, who says I was born without spiritual roots and can't cultivate? Why am I already a master peak but still have no spiritual roots? If I had them, I might have already ascended by now. Just as Zhang Yijian finished his thoughts, a loud voice suddenly called from the other side, "Is Zhang the useless person there?" He immediately turned to look. All he saw was a disciple from the sect. Though he had no authority, he mocked a master peak like Zhang Yijian. The ceremony for accepting disciples at 6 peak has officially started. You, a useless person, should hurry and join, everyone is waiting for you. Hearing this, Zhang Yijian's face darkened, thinking to himself, after so many years, it's the same as always. At that moment, the system announced, congratulations host on activating the second function of the system, accepting cultivation disciples. The system provided more information about this function. First, accept female disciples. The cultivation gained by the disciples will be returned to the host many times over. Second, the rate of disciples' betrayal is 100 times, 1,000 times, and 10,000 times. Third, each act of betrayal is random and uncontrollable. Reading through, Zhang Yijian couldn't hide his joy. I guess this means my main character skill has been activated. Zhang Yijian was so excited he almost cried. He embraced the system and shouted, "This is amazing, useless person, you finally remembered that I am here. This function is incredible, even if I have no spiritual roots, I can still achieve cultivation." The guy on the other side continued to mock, a useless person is indeed a useless person, trying to broaden his horizons in such a hurry. There will be a show to watch this year. Zhang Yijian replied to him with a sharp gaze, indeed, this year's disciple recruitment ceremony is more interesting. At this moment, the Tianyin sect was more crowded than ever. Countless people came here hoping to be accepted into the sect for cultivation. The disciple recruitment ceremony had also begun. Zhang Yijian quickly stepped forward and spoke, "I apologize for being late." As soon as they saw him, the other master peaks began to look at him with judgmental gazes. Some even spoke disdainfully, "I didn't expect that this useless person would actually show up. He came to be humiliated." The person next to him also mocked him. "Haha, let him through." Seeing that the person had arrived, the elder began the disciple selection ceremony. He said loudly, "All right, the Tianyin sect's 6th peak recruitment officially begins. Now, each of you will place your hand on the iron orb here, it will test your spiritual roots talent. If a disciple displays red, yellow, blue, or triangular light, they may become a disciple. Disciples with white light talent defects are not qualified to become disciples." As soon as the elder finished speaking, several iron orbs immediately flew in front of the crowd below. The elder asked once more, "Did you all hear me clearly?" The crowd below affirmed in unison, "Clear." Then, they followed the instructions and placed their hands on the orb. The elder excitedly shouted, "Good, let's start now." Immediately, the hall became a dazzling array of colors. Countless beams of colorful light directed towards the crowd. When they saw the orb in their hands emitting a colored light, they couldn't help but cheer. Mine is yellow, this is great. Mine is red, I'm not worried about being eliminated now. Elder looked pleased, stroking his mustache and said, I invite all disciples of red, yellow, and blue to begin choosing their masters. If you find a master you like, stand behind them. Each master peak can accept 9 people, and the number is limited. As soon as he finished speaking, a crowd surged forward like a swarm of bees, eagerly choosing their preferred masters. I want to go to Qian Master Peak, don't take my place. I want to be a disciple of Sun Master Peak. It was noisy like that, but beside Zhang Yi Jian there was no one, not even a fly. He looked around and pondered, feeling so disheartened that he didn't want to speak, while those people began to mock and ridicule. I said no one would be willing to choose him, truly embarrassing the old ancestor. At that moment, a girl suddenly spoke up. The girl's name was Zhao Yi Rong. She approached Zhang Yi Jian and gently asked, Can I take you as my master, Zhang Master Peak? Zhang Yi Jian, hearing this, could not contain his astonishment. He pointed to himself and asked again, Are you sure you want to take me as your master? Zhao Yi Rong replied shyly, I have social anxiety, I don't like being around many people, so. Zhang Yi Jian certainly did not refuse. He quickly turned to grab Zhao Yi Rong's hand and said, It's okay, as long as you want to take me as your master. But a second later, Zhao Yi Rong changed her expression. She looked at the hand grabbed by Zhang Yi Jian with disgust in her heart and thought, does he really think I care about a useless person? If it weren't for the peak 6th leaving the thunder vein of the old ancestor, I wouldn't even give a second thought to a useless person like you. But anyway, Zhang Yi Jian had gained a disciple. The system announced, Congratulations host on successfully receiving a disciple, rewards, divine level skill infinite hand and heavenly shadow body. Zhang Yi Jian's body was clearly enveloped in a flow of energy, skill does not need to be cultivated, it will automatically succeed. Inside Zhang Yi Jian's body, it felt as if a fire was burning. He secretly rejoiced and thought, is this the feeling of gaining power? I want to repay all the humiliation I have endured. At that moment, Song Chang suddenly appeared and said to Zhao Yi Rong, Young lady, do you not know that he is a useless person with no spiritual roots? Following him is just wanting to ruin yourself, isn't it? Then the old man moved closer to Zhao Yi Rong and tempted her. Why not follow me? The trash collectors in our area are even stronger than him. Zhang Yi Jian frowned and approached to ask, Who are you calling a useless person? The old man replied sarcastically, What? A guy without spiritual roots, a useless person, who can only rely on his old ancestor for protection, and you don't want me to say so. Your old ancestor left you with peak 6th, but now your old ancestor has ascended. You'd be better off leaving. Zhang Yi Jian furrowed his brow tightly and growled, Say that again. The old man suddenly became bold in front of Zhang Yi Jian, pointing straight at his face with disdain, What's it to you if I say it again? A useless person is a useless person, you are a useless person, and you should get out of peak 6th. Zhang Yi Jian was not angry but closed his eyes tightly. A second later, he opened his eyes, and his body suddenly radiated a cold power. Without a moment's hesitation, he slapped Song Chang, who stumbled back, holding his face and yelling, You dare hit me? Zhang Yi Jian unemotionally replied, I did hit you, so what? Song Chang rushed at Zhang Yi Jian, wanting to attack him, shouting, looking for death. In response to Song Chang's punch, Zhang Yi Jian used Heavenly Shadow Body to dodge the blow. Seeing the scene in front of them, the crowd could not help but be stunned by Zhang Yi Jian's power. What is happening here? Where did that useless person go? It's impossible. The Song Master Peak has a cultivation at the Golden Elixir full circle, and that useless person doesn't even have spiritual roots. How could he possibly escape? Because Zhang Yi Jian's speed was too fast, Song Chang was also momentarily taken aback and stopped. What did that little guy just do? I didn't see it clearly. Before he could voice his doubts, Zhang Yi Jian appeared behind him. He shouted, Song Chang, today we will settle all our debts. He rushed forward and slapped the old man in the face again and said, This slap is for the humiliation you put me through. Zhang Yi Jian slapped him again. This slap is for daring to take my disciple. He threw Song Chang away and said, "And for this last slap." Zhang Yijian used a technique, jumped up, and rushed towards the old man, shouting, "I will personally send you to hell, think carefully down there." Song Chang was immediately crushed by Zhang Yijian's hand. Seeing this, Zhao Yirong could not help but exclaim in shock. Lei ancestor, this useless master will not affect our plan, right? The thing in the bag also replied, "It's a bit unexpectedly interesting, it's just that if he turns into a corpse like this, it will be even more interesting." The crowd was stunned by this scene, murmuring, "When did this little guy become so strong? Oh my, he must be hiding his true strength, deceiving all of us." Suddenly, a beam of light appeared from above, and a frantic voice rang out, "Zhang Yijian, how dare you kill fourth Master Peak, what a crime." Upon hearing this, Zhang Yijian could not help but turn around to see who had arrived. Immediately after, the sky suddenly changed, with many powerful thunderbolts appearing. Everyone was astonished at this scene. The Master Peak group whispered among themselves, is this the heaven-shattering thunder punishment of the Master? It is indeed the thunder punishment master, specifically used to punish Master Peaks who commit crimes. Looks like there's a good show to watch. From above, Tianyan sect master, Lei Hai also appeared, emanating an overwhelming aura. He scanned the scene looking for something, but ultimately did not find the target that had been struck. He began to doubt life and asked, where are they? Thunder punishment only punishes the soul, how can it harm life? At that moment, a noise came from behind Lei Hai. Zhang Yijian was brushing the dust off his clothes, then he pointed at his head and deliberately said, "Master, you attacked me without distinguishing right from wrong, isn't that a bit excessive?" Seeing that Zhang Yijian was completely unharmed, not even a scratch, Lei Hai couldn't hide his surprise as he exclaimed, "You, little guy, you weren't hurt at all." This scene caused the other peak masters to panic again, discussing the power of the thunder punishment. "Last year, the master punished me like this, it took me half a year to regain my spirit, how did he escape?" Outwardly calm, Zhang Yijian felt lucky inside. He silently told himself, "Fortunately, I have the shadow body of the system, or things would have turned out badly." Lei Hai quickly regained his composure and began to address the situation caused by Zhang Yijian, speaking in a serious tone, "Master Peak Tianyan sect killing a colleague, should I bring you a chair to sit on?" Zhang Yijian did not back down but instead spoke up to vindicate himself, "Master, he attacked me first, I was only defending myself. Is that also wrong?" Upon hearing this, the people on the other side began to whisper, it was indeed Song Master Peak who struck first. "I heard that Song Master Peak is the Master's nephew, and the Master dotes on him." Hearing the eyewitness speak up, Zhang Yijian calmly said to Lei Hai, "See, Master, just pretend you didn't see anything." Unable to refute, he could only snort coldly. Then Lei Hai turned away coldly and reminded, "Zhang Master Peak, from now on I will not protect you based on the situation, I hope you can take care of yourself." Before leaving, he loudly declared, "The ceremony for accepting disciples is over, all Master Peaks, take your disciples back to your peaks for training." Everyone stood up and replied respectfully, "Yes." Seeing Zhang Yijian's performance, Xiao Yirong couldn't help but change her perspective on him. She thought to herself, isn't Zhang Master Peak, as rumored, just a useless person? How could he be so formidable? Then Zhang Yijian turned to remind Xiao Yirong, "Disciple, the ceremony has ended, let's return to Tianyan Peak." Xiao Yirong eagerly replied, "Yes, Master." The two quickly left the scene of destruction together, heading back to the peak of Zhang Yijian. At this moment, the thing in Xiao Yirong's bag reminded her, "Yirong, our target is the thunder vein, let's steal it." Xiao Yirong asked, "What if we are discovered?" The thing in the bag reassured her, "What are you afraid of? Your master has not a trace of oppressive aura, most of the strength is useless." Soon after, it crawled out of Xiao Yirong's bag. Looking mysterious, it turned out to be just a cute little thing. It confidently said to Xiao Yirong, "I have many divine weapons, just using one small one can easily kill him." Upon arrival, Zhang Yijian opened the door to welcome his disciple, happily saying, "You're here. As soon as Zhang Yijian stepped into his domain, a radiant brilliance emitted immediately. Zhao Yirong couldn't help but be startled, while Dali, scared, quickly hid away. Looking at the little thing in her bag, her mind spun, and Zhao Yirong anxiously asked, "What's wrong, Dali?" At that moment it spoke up, "There is a divine weapon with a really strong aura in this room. I'm so stunned that I can't even breathe." Zhao Yirong, confused, hugged Dali and turned to observe, wondering to herself, "Is there a divine weapon here?" Zhang Yijian was still sitting by the fire, throwing skills into the furnace to keep warm, and cheerfully shared with her, "Come on, it's really cold over there, hurry over here to add some fire for the master." Zhao Yirong, without hesitation, ran over to where he indicated, saying, "Yes, master." Zhang Yijian casually handed a book to Zhao Yirong, telling her, "Here, burn some more to keep warm." Seeing clearly what she was holding, Zhao Yirong was so shocked that she screamed. Inside, she was shouting, "This is a divine level item." Zhao Yirong couldn't help but awkwardly ask, "Master, this is a divine level skill, can we really just burn it like this?" But he seemed unconcerned and responded calmly, "It's not worth anything, you can have as much as you want." Then Zhang Yijian pointed to the pile of books behind him, saying, "You look over there." At that moment, Zhao Yirong was even more shocked, silently screaming inside, "A divine level skill, and master treats it like garbage. This is too terrifying." Zhang Yijian generously offered to share, "If you like, take a few books to practice, after all, they're going to be burned anyway." Zhao Yirong asked excitedly, "Really?" Before she could hear the other's response, she jumped into the pile of skills, wanting to bury herself in it. Soon, Zhao Yirong found what she wanted, she surfaced happily and said, "Thank you, master." Zhao Yirong was surprised by the beam of golden light emitted before her. A moment later, she exclaimed, and her face turned an unusual shade of pink. She raised her hand to shield her eyes from the blinding light. Dali, standing on the side, was surrounded by a beam of purple light. It gaped in astonishment, thinking to itself, "This is truly a god, divine level skill. No wonder I felt the pressure the moment I stepped in, this is indeed a treasure trove." At that moment, Zhao Yirong felt uncomfortable in her body. Standing before the skill book, she couldn't help but exclaim, "I just glanced at it, and the skill is forcefully invading my body. I can't endure this much longer." As soon as she finished speaking, a sound of a moan escaped her lips, and in the next moment, she began to level up continuously. Refine Qi early stage, break. Refine mid-stage Qi, break. Refine late stage Qi, break. Dali gasped, staring at her in amazement. Moments later, due to the rapid level up, Zhao Yirong fatigued and collapsed. Fortunately, Zhang Yijian was quick to catch her. With a calm expression, he asked, "Disciple, are you all right?" Her face flushed as she looked at him, "Master, I've broken through." Suddenly, a system notification flashed before their eyes, "The host's disciple has successfully broken through, cultivation is being responded to." Zhang Yijian looked up at the system panel, resting his chin on his hand to read the content. "Cultivation returns 100 times, congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the early stage of Golden Elixir." Character information, Zhang Yijian, age 20, cultivation early stage Golden Elixir, no innate talent, skill infinite hand, divine level skill, many information waiting to be unlocked. He unexpectedly raised his hand, murmuring softly, "Oh, early stage Golden Elixir." Seeing him in a daze for a moment, Zhao Yirong curiously asked, "Master, what's wrong?" He shook his head and replied, "No. I'm fine." Zhang Yijian coldly raised his hand, and a mysterious black sword appeared in his grasp. "The cultivation of the disciple has just made a breakthrough, but the foundation is still unstable. You should go to the mysterious forest to train a bit." She looked at the sword thrown towards her and replied, "Yes, master." His gaze suddenly became deep, then flashed with a glimmer of light, thinking to himself, "The disciple causes me to continuously level up, it seems I need to find a few more disciples." Scene change, in a remote forest, a figure suddenly appeared, using lightness skill to leap over tall trees. A young boy, with determined eyes, smiled scornfully, thinking, "Just now, an oppressive divine-level pressure emanated from over there. There must be a treasure emerging. He leaped up a tall tree, looking at the cottage in front of him, feeling joy and exclaiming, "It's right in front of me." The boy happily jumped down to the ground, running forward. He saw a barrier surrounding the house and laughed, "Ha ha," thinking, "I found it, it's inside." A moment later, from the palm of his hand, the young boy took out a deep purple sword, unable to hide his cunning expression. "My cultivation is against the heavens, I just lack a few magic weapons for self-defense. If someone dares to block me, I must kill them." With that, he grabbed the sword and rushed forward like the wind. Suddenly, from a nearby large tree, thick green vines appeared and lunged at him. 3 vines targeted his back and, in an instant, wrapped tightly around his body, restraining him. The young boy did not understand what was happening. He let out a few painful cries, tears streaming down his face, questioning himself, "What is this? This is a minor peak, why is there a divine tree?" Meanwhile, Zhang Yijian was comfortably lying down, reading the book in his hand, when he suddenly heard a loud "ah" from outside that echoed throughout the room. He was slightly surprised and wondered, "Oh, is something happening outside?" Zhang Yijian slowly stepped out the door, still bothered by the "ah" he had heard, thinking, "It's not even the new year yet, why is there already a pig slaughterhouse?" Outside, the young boy was being restrained by the vines, which kept hitting him on the backside. He cried out in pain, quickly pleading, "I know I was wrong, please spare me, tree immortal." Suddenly, his expression froze in place, and a moment later, he fell to the ground, almost breaking his jaw. He let out a yell of "ow." Zhang Yijian raised his hand to support his chin, leaned down to observe, and kindly asked, "Are you okay?" The young boy stared blankly at the person in front of him and asked, Who are you?" He reached out to hold the boy's hand and said, "Come to my mountain peak," then paused for a moment before bringing his face closer and continuing, "Are you making a joke asking me who I am?" The young boy was utterly shocked and thought to himself, "My mountain peak? Could it be that this little white face is actually the master of the peak?" He was helped up by him, his face unable to hide its ferocity as he thought, "Perfect, as long as I kill him, all the divine weapons in there will be mine." Having made the decision, he reached his other hand behind his back and quickly cast a body enlargement technique. A moment later, he triumphantly proclaimed, "Tremble, the era of my domination begins now." With that, he raised his foot high, intending to crush Zhang Yijian into the ground. Suddenly, behind him, Zhao Yirong appeared from nowhere, angrily drawing her sword and shouting, "Where did that thief come from?" As she rushed towards him, the summoned sword shattered instantly. Suddenly, she inhaled the white smoke from that guy, and Zhao Yirong's body reacted, letting out an uncomfortable sound. On Zhang Yijian's side, seeing his disciple inhaling the poison smoke, he panic-shouted, "Don't." Suddenly, she gathered her strength and struck a powerful palm toward him. The force was immense. The young boy couldn't withstand it and was thrown 200 meters away, foaming at the mouth and losing consciousness. Zhao Yirong awkwardly scratched her nose and said, "Oh, I couldn't control my strength." Zhang Yijian walked over to his body, expressing regret as he sighed, "Ah, such a good disciple, what a pity." He gently touched the meridians of the young boy, his voice tinged with sadness, "It was so hard to get a disciple, why did he have to die? Is the path to becoming strong really this difficult for me?" Seeing her master like this, Zhao Yirong felt guilty and touched his face, saying, "Master, looking at his appearance, he seems to be the talented holy son of the Jiang family in Honghai City." He furrowed his brows and looked up, asking, "Talented holy son?" Ding dong, suddenly a system message appeared detecting the recruitment of a holy son. The host was urged to quickly go to Honghai City, the chosen one was inside the city. After reading, Zhang Yijian rested his chin on his hand, his pupils slightly contracting as he said, "The genius holy son of Honghai City is dead, could it be that the system made a mistake? Well, I'll figure it out when I get to Honghai City." With that, he used his lightness skill to soar away. Before going too far, he left a reminder. "It's cold, so add some firewood, master is going out for training, you cultivate well." Seeing this, she and Dali exchanged knowing glances and replied, "Yes." On Zhang Yijian's side, he calmly gazed at the scene below and thought, Honghai City is 100 miles away from here. Fortunately, I am now at the golden elixir stage, I can travel 1,000 miles in a day. He flew calmly towards the magnificent city ahead, when suddenly on the way, a woman in purple was being subdued by a man in white, seemingly about to take her life. He looked at her viciously and said, Jiang Yiyun, the Holy Sun has cultivated the heavenly law, the earth is like a divine shadow. The next moment, he grabbed the dagger from behind and charged at her, lying helplessly there. Before making his move, he mocked her, saying, a waste of family resources like you doesn't deserve to exist. Slash. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck between the two. Jiang Yiyun let out a terrified, ah, and quickly turned to dodge the next blow. She lay on the ground, looking quite pitiful, while everyone gathered around to watch the spectacle unfold. Suddenly, an old bald man stomped on her, continuously spewing brainwashing words, Yun, stop resisting. The Holy Sun is the son of the family master, no matter how talented you are, you cannot achieve anything. Out of consideration for you being of the same clan, cripple your meridians and leave the Jiang family. She angrily shouted, Jiang Deng Tian secretly consumed the golden elixir, are you all blind? He and two others yelled in anger, you have a lot of nerve to directly call the Holy Sun's name. This is rebellion, bring her down quickly and tear her apart for me. Everyone stood together watching Jiang Yiyun being brought to the arena, voices clamoring, if you're of the same clan, don't blame us. Stop wasting words, start the formation. First, subdue the demons and exorcise the spirits. Suddenly, dark clouds gathered, accompanied by powerful bolts of lightning. A man dressed in white appeared in the sky, shouting loudly, stop. An elder spoke up, who dares to flaunt their power in the Jiang family? The man in white stood with his hands behind his back and confidently introduced himself, I am Lei Busi. The two elders were stunned. One long-haired elder, visibly shaken, asked, Lei Busi, from the Lei Ting sect. Lei Busi replied casually, it seems your little clan has some insight to recognize me. The elder quickly humbled himself, asking nervously, what brings Lei young master here? Lei Busi pointed to Jiang Yiyun, who was lying on the ground, and asked, how much for her? Sell her to me. This thunder accumulation could help me take another step forward. The bald elder stammered in shock, this, Lei Busi's gaze darkened as he glanced at them, not much progress. Sell her to me, and I'll owe you a favor. The bald elder forced a smile and humbly replied, if Lei young master says so, I cannot refuse. But inside him, he was quietly calculating, first, there was the Holy Sun who grasped the magical talent, now with the Lei Ting sect protecting him, from now on, Honghai City will be under the control of the Jiang family. Jiang Yiyun struggled to get up and angrily said, I would rather die than let you achieve anything. He angrily pointed at Jiang Yiyun and shouted, shut up, quickly go along with Lei young master and contribute your final efforts for our Jiang family. She trembled as she stood up, ignoring the electric shock still coursing through her body, and quickly ran away. Seeing this, Lei Busi sneered and said, humph, trying to run away. She was shocked and turned her head to look at him. Lei Busi moved swiftly, snorted coldly, and asked her, still want to run? Jiang Yiyun tilted her head, a bit surprised, and in an instant, Lei Busi had moved behind her. He struck directly at her thin back with one hand, while shouting, hurry and hand over the thunder accumulation. Jiang Yiyun cried out in pain and fell to the ground. Zhang Yijian watched this scene inside, saying, is this what the chosen disciple looks like? So pitiful. Following that, he stepped forward and kindly helped Jiang Yiyun up. Lei Busi, seeing this, quickly took advantage of the situation and confidently shouted, just in time, I don't have to lift a finger. You help me extract the thunder accumulation from her and bring it here. However, Zhang Yijian paid no attention to Lei Busi and instead gently asked for Jiang Yiyun's name. Upon hearing this, her face flushed red, and she weakly replied, my name is Jiang Yiyun. Zhang Yijian's expression showed no change, and he coldly complimented her name. Then he continued to probe, do you want to continue living? Upon hearing this, Jiang Yiyun helplessly responded, for me, right now, it is a distant hope. Just then, Zhang Yijian quickly made a proposal, all right, if you acknowledge me as your master now, I will allow you to live. Jiang Yiyun was momentarily dazed, and then she clasped her hands together in front of her and exclaimed, Yiyun pays respect to the master. The overseer elder, witnessing this scene, couldn't help but mockingly respond, where did this little guy come from, talking nonsense? Didn't you hear Lord Lei? Bring it here quickly. The Qian master peak standing behind Lei Busi stroked his chin and kindly said, Lei young master. The person we know is Zhang Yijian, the master peak of Tianyan sect, who was born with no spiritual roots and is a useless person. Upon hearing this, Lei Busi couldn't help but cover his mouth and laugh mockingly, so he is the master peak of Tianyan sect, Zhang Yijian. At that moment, the overseer elder shifted his stance for a martial arts duel and promised, Lei young master, rest assured. Meanwhile, he thought to himself, if you are a useless person, then let you become the stepping stone on the path of my Jiang family. Immediately after, a layer of spiritual weapons appeared around the overseer elder. He charged toward Zhang Yijian, shouting loudly, I personally came to collect thunder accumulation, and if I accidentally injure a few blind people, I can only apologize. Those around him burst into laughter upon hearing this. Jiang Yiyun anxiously looked at Zhang Yijian and suggested, Master, I can still use the power of lightning one more time, let's go together. Meanwhile, the overseer elder rushed in, smugly shouting, Today, even if the King of Heaven comes, he won't be able to save you. A hand made of golden spiritual weapon descended from the sky toward Zhang Yijian and Jiang Yiyun. Zhang Yijian calmly raised his hand, creating a purple spiritual weapon. This was the ultimate skill infinite hand, a beam of purple light piercing straight up to the sky, hitting the golden yellow hand. The overseer elder hadn't even had time to understand what was happening when a fiery red hand suddenly lunged at him. With a shrill scream, that hand struck the overseer elder violently, flattening him. Bright red fragments, as hot as lava, flew everywhere. The group of Lei Busi couldn't help but watch this scene in horror. Yet, Zhang Yijian simply frowned slightly and said, It seems that the King of Heaven doesn't have time to save us, so the master can only save himself. Jiang Yiyun, both amazed and admiring, said, Master turns out to be so powerful. The crowd that had been watching the spectacle earlier was now like a disturbed hive of bees, frantically shouting, Who said he is a useless person? He took down the overseer elder with just one move. How is that like a useless person? At this moment, Lei Busi offered, Minor art of the puppet, my friend, thunder accumulation is the key breakthrough for me, so give way, and from now on, Lei Busi will protect you. Hearing this, Zhang Yijian snorted coldly. The air around him also dropped to a freezing point. Zhang Yijian's eyes suddenly burst into flames. A tone of disdain arose. Turn me into your little brother, then I want to see what your real strength is. Immediately, Lei Busi was naturally provoked by his words. He clasped his hands in front of him, his teeth clenched tightly, emitting a few heavy sounds. Then, he slammed both hands down onto the ground. This was the ultimate move, Eternal Night Dark Thunder. A powerful spiritual weapon radiated out, resembling agile arrows racing toward Zhang Yijian. Zhang Yijian reached out to embrace Jiang Yiyun's waist. She wrapped her arms tightly around his neck, watching him use powerful spiritual energy to activate Heavenly Shadow Body. Instantly, the two thick strands of spiritual energy from Zhang Yijian and Lei Busi collided, causing the surrounding space to tremble significantly. Lei Busi was enveloped in the layer of lightning brought by the spiritual energy. He smirked and whispered, Ha, it's just a clown dancing around. The people below could not help but exclaim in awe at this magnificent scene. Is this the thunder skill of the Lei Ting sect? It's too extraordinary. That little guy is a worthy opponent for Lei young master. It's true that he has no eyes, and the corpse has been completely beaten up. But their joy was quickly extinguished when the dust from the aftermath dispersed. Zhang Yijian suddenly emerged from the fog, with a few remaining sparks of lightning still around his body. At that moment, he was still carrying Jiang Yiyun and slowly opened his mouth to call out, Hey, I'm not dead yet, are you all in such a hurry to celebrate? The crowd that had been cheering quickly changed their attitude. As soon as they saw Zhang Yijian's figure, they exclaimed in astonishment, "Oh my God, he's still alive. How is that possible? How could he avoid that thunder skill?" But Lei Busi, on the other side, seemed unaffected. Instead, he smirked and said, "Little guy, no wonder you dared to boast like that. I underestimated you." After hearing his words, Zhang Yijian immediately set Jiang Yiyun down and instructed, "You rest for a while now. Wait for me to deal with that guy, then I'll take you back to the sect." Jiang Yiyun looked at the back of the person in front of her as he slowly walked toward Lei Busi, and she raised her voice in concern, telling him to be careful. Lei Busi seemed to be using all of his strength at this moment. Surrounding his body were layers of blue lightning. He shouted confidently at Zhang Yijian, talking nonsense without shame, "Just now I only used 50% of my cultivation, this time I won't hold back." Having said that, he quickly raised his fist towards Zhang Yijian and simultaneously shouted excitedly, "Die!" Zhang Yijian closed his eyes to feel, then suddenly opened them, with a cold gleam of evil energy flickering in his pupils. Zhang Yijian struck hard on Lei Busi's back, making him bend over and spit out some red blood from his throat. At this moment, Lei Busi noticed a long streak of blood appearing on his abdomen. He couldn't believe it and stammered, how could this happen?" Before the onlookers could react, Lei Busi was already lying at Zhang Yijian's feet. His eyes were white, indicating that he had lost consciousness. Zhang Yijian looked down at the person beneath him and said, "Now do you know who was bragging?" After dealing with everything, Zhang Yijian did not hesitate to grab Jiang Yiyun's arm and said, "Disciple, follow master home." Jiang Yiyun was in a daze, and upon hearing his voice, she instinctively responded with a "yes." After finishing his words, Zhang Yijian and Jiang Yiyun quickly took a leap and flew directly into the sky. The people below seemed to have regained their senses and suddenly began to buzz with speculation. Am I seeing things? Is he really the useless person Zhang Yijian? Someone quickly confirmed that he was indeed Zhang Yijian, merely a rumor had spread before. If he is a useless person, then we are even more useless than a useless person. Over there, Zhang Yijian and Jiang Yiyun quickly arrived at their destination. He reminded the people behind him that from now on, this is his home. As soon as they landed, Zhang Yijian leisurely raised his voice, "Yi Rong, I have brought back a junior sister, hurry up and welcome her." Zhao Yirong quickly appeared, her voice filled with excitement, "Master, you've taken on a disciple again." Ignoring the attitude of his senior disciple, Zhang Yijian widened his eyes in surprise, looking at the empty room in front of him. Seeing the strange reaction of her master, Zhao Yirong quickly asked, "What's wrong, master?" He pondered for a moment and then slowly replied, "Strange, where is the pile of trash I threw here? I still need it tonight to keep warm." Upon hearing this, Zhao Yirong's attitude suddenly became bright. She put on an innocent face and replied, "I don't know." But as soon as she finished speaking, a stack of books fell out from her sleeve, betraying her. The scene was quite awkward. Zhao Yirong slowly glanced at her master's expression, with a smile that was hard to maintain. But she quickly picked up the books from the ground and blushed while explaining, "Master, don't misunderstand, I'm your disciple, it's reasonable to take a bit of skill and a magic weapon, right?" Zhang Yijian found it hard to refute Zhao Yirong, so he chuckled and scratched his head, repeatedly saying, "That's reasonable." Then, a thought suddenly struck Zhang Yijian, prompting him to swiftly grab a book from her pile and say, "That's right, I just accepted a new disciple and haven't given a welcome gift yet." With a friendly smile, Zhang Yijian held the book out in front of Jiang Yiyun and said, "Yiyun, you have the thunder accumulation talent, this skill is not only suitable for you but also complements your skills, take it and practice." Jiang Yiyun blushed as she looked at the book, her eyes filled with light. Her voice was full of astonishment as she stammered, "Master, this is a divine-level skill." Seeing her reaction, Zhao Yirong smiled and said, "When I first received the inheritance, I felt the same way as you." Zhang Yijian, catching the atmosphere, patted Jiang Yiyun on the shoulder and said with a reassuring tone, "Practice well, whatever you want, the master can give you. The divine-level skill is just to help you accede to the sect." Hearing this, Jiang Yiyun was moved to tears and exclaimed, "Oh my, master, are you a deity?" Zhang Yijian immediately felt embarrassed and scratched his head, complimenting her, "Disciple, you have quite a sense of humor." The scene shifts to Tianyan sect. Lei Hai rested his hands on the table, seemingly in disbelief as he stammered, "What? Zhang Yijian killed Lei Busi by himself?" Qian Master Peak immediately confirmed, "That's right, this news has already spread." Sun Master Peak stood beside and immediately made a conjecture. Lei Busi has reached the peak of foundation establishment, just a bit more and he will achieve golden elixir. He was killed by Zhang Yijian, so isn't Zhang Yijian already a golden elixir? After hearing this, Lei Hai pondered for a moment, then slowly said, "Strange, is Zhang Yijian pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger? Intentionally hiding?" Qian Master Peak heard him and raised his hand in agreement, affirming loudly, "It must be so." Qian Master Peak rubbed his chin, looking serious and calculating, "But the talented disciple Lei Busi from Lei Ting sect, his death will surely not be tolerated by Lei Ting sect. What if?" Lei Hai immediately raised his hand to interrupt Qian Master Peak, "There is no what if. If Lei Ting sect seeks revenge, we must use all our strength to protect Zhang Yijian." Qian Master Peak murmured in confusion, "Protect?" Lei Hai, with a distant gaze and a hint of pride, said, "Indeed, strong golden elixir reflects the strength of each sect. Moreover, Zhang Master Peak is still so young, a future in art. If he works hard for Tianyan sect will rise to the top sect once again." Master Peak, the baldy, stroked his beard in agreement and said, "Master makes sense." Another Master Peak beside him spoke up, "I also concur." Suddenly, a loud voice came from outside, "Lei Hai, come out here now." Upon hearing this, Lei Hai frowned in annoyance, "Just finished talking, now I'm bothering the sect leader." After saying that, he quickly moved to the door, going outside to see who is causing trouble. In the sky, Kumu Elder from Lei Ting sect, along with his disciples, rode on clouds towards them. Leaning on his staff, he questioned, "Lei Hai, your disciple from Tianyan sect has intentionally slaughtered innocent people. Are they about to step into the devil's way, opposing the righteous sects?" Lei Hai looked up with a surprised expression, "It's Kumu Elder from Lei Ting sect." He quickly regained his composure, politely clasped his hands and bowed, speaking softly, "Kumu Elder, I just heard about that too. Please calm down, let's discuss it inside." Standing before Kumu Elder and the disciples of Lei Ting sect, Lei Hai carefully demonstrated his sincerity, "Tianyan sect is willing to compensate." Upon hearing this, Kumu Elder became furious, striking the wooden staff in his hand and shouted, "Who wants your damn compensation?" Kumu Elder clenched his fist and said harshly, "Hurry and hand over the evil creature that has fallen into the demon path, and carry out the law right here." Lei Hai frowned in thought. It seemed that the Lei Ting sect was preparing to bite Zhang Yijian to death. He absolutely could not let it happen as they wished. Lei Hai summoned his spiritual energy, his eyes brightened, his tone extremely resolute, no longer polite as before. "Zhang Yijian is the Master Peak of our sect, he is not something that can be casually handed over." Kumu Elder also responded with fierce determination. "Humph, if you don't want to cooperate, then I guess I'll have to retrieve him myself," Lei Hai replied rudely. A massive circle of energy began to appear. "Are you saying no one dares to bully our Tianyan sect?" The two great powers clashed, creating a violent earthquake, like a gigantic fire raging fiercely, rays of light radiating in all directions striking the rocks behind the mountain. Zhang Yijian was concentrating on his cultivation. A piece of spiritual energy suddenly fell down in the secluded courtyard, causing him to wake up and look at the powerful piece of spiritual energy falling down, creating a loud noise. Zhang Yijian felt a bit anxious, "Not good, something is happening inside the sect." His feet were pushed back, losing his balance. Sun Master Peak and Qian Master Peak were worried and quickly supported Lei Hai Master. Lei Hai, exhausted and severely injured, said, "This guy's strength is extraordinary, I'm afraid we can't hold on." Kumu Elder, filled with evil energy, warned, Lei Hai, I give you one more chance, hand over Zhang Yi Jian. Otherwise, I will destroy your entire sect. Lei Hai held the wound on his arm, tense, damn it, don't exaggerate. Qian Master Peak was extremely worried, what should we do? If we keep fighting, we won't win. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed, old man, are you looking for me? Zhang Yi Jian gently landed down. Kumu Elder looked at the person in front of him, a bit suspiciously said, I heard Zhang Yi Jian is quite young, so it can't be you, right? He humorously pointed to himself and replied, I am indeed named Zhang Yi Jian. Compared to you, I am still quite young and handsome. Confirming the right person, the Kumu Elder immediately attacked. Indeed, it is you, let me help you maintain the handsomeness of today forever. Under the Elder's power, 3 giant fire dragons with sharp claws surrounded Zhang Yi Jian. He was a bit surprised by this tremendous power. This oppression, he turned out to be a strong golden elixir. With a bang, Zhang Yi Jian was instantly hurled away by a red beam of light. He frowned, somewhat astonished by this source of strength. He was pushed against the wall by the beam, seeming like he would be incinerated. Kumu Elder voice lightly scorned, how disappointing, I thought you were very strong. Indeed, just as rumored, you are trash. Qian Master Peak panicked, oh no, Zhang Yi Jian won't. Lei Hai exclaimed in shock, is he dead? From the crumbling wall, a foot stepped out lightly. He stood there unharmed, looking calm and proud, rubbing his head, that was quite a headache, this new hairstyle almost got ruined. The Kumu Elder seemed quite surprised and assessed, you took my hit and didn't die. The little guy, you seem to be better than the others of the same age. Zhang Yi Jian covered his face, and his eyes suddenly lit up mysteriously. System, help me check this old man's real cultivation. The system acknowledged the command and said, received, please take a look. After a thorough analysis of Elder Kumu, a notification appeared, mid-golden elixir. Zhang Yi Jian frowned, genuinely worried. Mid-golden elixir? Higher than me by 1 whole level. This is a bit troublesome. He stroked his chin and smiled thoughtfully, luckily, with the system, I can hold on a bit. On the opposite side, Elder Kumu's eyes were bloodshot, filled with evil energy, ready to charge forward. Little guy, the more you resist, the happier I become. A fire dragon rushed out, this time the old man's power was even stronger, flames surrounding Zhang Yi Jian. He clenched his fists, not in the least afraid. Watch out for your bones, old man. With that, he kicked toward the old man. Elder Kumu quickly used his staff to block, still very pleased with himself, you think you can rely on yourself? At that moment, he immediately commanded the system. System, now please respond to my disciple's cultivation. Very quickly, the system announced, Ting, as desired, spiritual weapon cultivation returns 1,000 times. As reported, Zhang Yi Jian's spiritual energy surged dramatically in an instant. Streams of red and green true qi enveloped him, creating a circle of power. Ting, congratulations host, you have increased your cultivation to the golden elixir stage. Having successfully leveled up, he quickly counterattacked. Zhang Yi Jian struck with one palm, breaking the staff of Kumu Elder, whose piercing scream echoed. He struck again, hitting the elder in a vulnerable spot, causing Kumu Elder to cough up blood. Immediately, he was blasted away by Zhang Yi Jian's power. Kumu Elder lay motionless on the ground, painfully coughing. The disciples of Lei Ting's sect rushed over in concern, Elder, are you okay? Lei Hai and the master peaks of Tianyan's sect stared in shock, everyone was astonished. He broke through to the middle stage of golden elixir, in the same realm, and with a single strike. Zhang Yi Jian, handsome and elegant, was extremely satisfied, my disciple, you are truly powerful. I have accumulated a lot of spiritual energy thanks to your cultivation. When I return, I will favor you all greatly. Kumu, the frail old man, stood up, little guy, do you still know how to hide your cultivation? You have the qualifications for me to value you. Zhang Yi Jian clasped his hands behind his back, speaking softly and without any politeness, old man, if you don't want to die, get lost now. If not, I will tear your bones apart right now. Kumu stood firm and unyielding. Little guy, you surely don't think you are invincible, do you? Saying that, he raised his finger as if summoning something. Our Lei Ting sect has many ways to deal with you. From the dark clouds, something emerged, a sharp sword emitting countless powerful lightning bolts. A scream echoed, the sword is coming. This, Lei Hai anxiously recognized, is that the heaven demon sword of the Lei Ting sect. Xian Master Peak was equally horrified. It is said that the heaven demon sword is the most precious treasure of the Lei Ting sect, capable of killing that yawning old monster. I never expected it to appear here. The triumphant tone of Kumu elder rang out, Zhang Yi Jian, let's see if you can survive this time. He glanced with a wicked smile, what a pathetic trick, it's just a pile of flames falling down. The sword descended right at Zhang Yi Jian's position, but he still stood still. A loud noise erupted, boom, a deafening explosion occurred, dust swirling everywhere. The sword remained intact, embedded deep in the ground, surrounded by shattered stones. Kumu elder arrogantly stroked his head and coldly snorted, if you had begged for mercy, I might have spared you. The old man suddenly widened his eyes and shouted loudly, Lei Busi, I have avenged your great hatred for you. Lost in the joy of avenging a deep grudge, he did not know that Zhang Yi Jian had appeared behind him, raising the sword high. A stroke of the sword took Kumu elder's life. Zhang Yi Jian retrieved the sword to his back and said, oh dear, I struck too hard, I didn't give you a chance to beg for mercy. The disciples of Lei Ting's sect could not believe their eyes, they were in stunned amazement questioning themselves. How could this happen? How did he manage to dodge the heaven demon sword? Has Elder Kumu really died? Zhang Yi Jian turned to the group and coldly told them, go back and tell your master that I welcome you all to challenge me, and I will go a little easier on you. He shouted, get lost. The group cried out in fear to each other, run quickly. Lei Hai was also astonished and exclaimed, what kind of monster is this little guy? Not only did he dodge the heaven demon sword, but he was also able to kill Elder Kumu. Zhang Yi Jian quietly approached Lei Hai, humbly bowed his head, and respectfully said, thank you for your protection, Lei Master. I am very grateful. Lei Hai replied, you're being too polite, we're all part of the same family. Master Qian spoke up, Zhang Master, you've hidden yourself really well. Your cultivation is already at the mid-stage of the golden elixir. Zhang Yi Jian smiled and replied, I haven't tried to hide it, but the situation is indeed a bit special. Lei Hai praised him, you are truly a talented individual, I've decided to grant you the qualification to enter the Xianin Pavilion. Zhang Yi Jian asked again, Xianin Pavilion? Xian Master Peak excitedly explained, Xianin Pavilion is the place where the divine weapons of Tian Yen sect are stored. It is filled with heavenly treasures, a place not everyone can enter. Lei Hai smiled in agreement, that's right, but I will make an exception this once, to let you enter and choose one of the heavenly divine weapons. The other disciples in the sect exclaimed, wow, can you really get a heavenly divine weapon? The sect master is so generous. I have been in the sect for over 30 years and have never entered the Xianin Pavilion, let alone received a heavenly divine weapon. Zhang Yi Jian asked Lei Hai, are heavenly divine weapons very powerful? He replied, of course, divine weapons are divided into different levels, mystical, earthly, heavenly, kingly, holy, and divine. From heavenly level and above, they are all supreme treasures of the sect. Hearing this, Zhang Yi Jian turned around casually and said, oh, then I don't need it. He thought to himself, I still have a divine weapon at home that I haven't even used yet, so what's the point of taking a heavenly level one? I don't even have a place to keep it. The other disciples gaped in astonishment, scratching their heads and lamenting, what? You don't even need to give a divine weapon of the highest level? Is there something wrong with your head? Zhang Yi Jian was walking with his hands behind his head, saying goodbye to Lei Hai, Master, thank you for your kindness, but I have to go back now. Suddenly, he stepped awkwardly into thin air and fell face first to the ground, exclaiming, ouch, in pain. Zhang Yi Jian angrily looked at a large hole in the floor, rubbed his head, and furiously asked, what the hell is this? Why is there a chunk missing from this step? Lei Hai, half laughing and half crying, told him, oh, that was lost during the fight earlier. Zhang Yi Jian recalled, oh right, it was done by me, wasn't it? He then took a stone out of his bag and said, I'm really sorry, I will fix it right now. He cheerfully jumped to the hole in the floor, placed the stone into the gap, and an aura immediately spread all around. The people around hurriedly covered their eyes. Zhang Yijian shouted, it's done. In the blink of an eye, the floor had been repaired without a single crack. Everyone there was astonished. Lei Hai also gaped in surprise. Why is the aura of this stone so strange? Qian Master Peak hurriedly added, that's right, I feel a strong sense of oppression, I feel my whole body trembling when I see it. Zhang Yijian waved goodbye to Lei Hai once again. Master, I should take my leave now, goodbye. He slowly walked away, and everyone was astonished to see the aura behind him manifesting a white tiger's face. The white tiger opened its mouth wide, revealing 4 sharp fangs. Lei Hai and Qian Master Peak fearfully clung to each other. Damn, I understand now, this is the aura of a divine weapon of divine level. No way, that little guy actually used a divine weapon of divine level as a brick. Returning to Tianyan Peak, Zhang Yijian pushed the door open and called out, disciple, I'm back. He was startled to find the inside silent and still, with items scattered all over the floor. He wondered, hey, where is everyone? Suddenly, a shrill scream rang out from a closed room. He exclaimed loudly, oh no, that's Yirong's voice. He hurriedly opened the door and asked, disciple, are you okay? In a rush, Zhang Yijian saw Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun with flushed faces. Zhao Yirong was screaming non-stop, AAA. He didn't understand what was happening. Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun clutched their chests, shouting loudly, I can't stand it anymore. Me too, I'm about to lose it. At that moment, they were breaking through the early stage of foundation establishment, reaching the peak of qi refinement. They couldn't help but scream, ah. Zhang Yijian held his head and sighed in relief, oh, so it's just training. He clasped his hands behind his back, stepped outside, and said to himself while laughing, turns out I worried for nothing. Zhao Yirong called him back, Master, please stay. He turned to look at her and asked, huh? What's the matter? Zhao Yirong made a request, Master, I have a favor to ask, I hope you grant it. Suddenly, she knelt down on the ground, pleading, I would like to go down the mountain for a trip, I hope you will allow it. Zhang Yijian smiled happily, is that all? If you want to go, then just go. I am not jailers, Zhao Yirong beamed with a bright smile and exclaimed. Thank you, Master. He suggested to Zhao Yirong, recently, I don't have much to do, so let's go down the mountain together tomorrow. Hearing this, her eyes widened with joy, but she hesitated to say, this. Zhang Yijian noticed her attitude and asked, what's wrong? Don't you want to? She shyly explained, since escaping from marriage and entering the Tianyan sect, I have always wanted to become stronger and not be bullied. Now that I have a master, what do I need to worry about? She clasped her hands in front of Zhang Yijian and formally invited him with a bright smile, therefore, it is truly an honor to invite Master to visit my home. Zhang Yijian happily laughed, aha, that's reasonable. He turned and walked toward his room, instructing Zhao Yirong, you should rest tonight, we'll set off early tomorrow. She immediately shouted, understood. Early the next morning, the rooster crowed, waking everyone. Zhang Yijian woke up, stretched and yawned, is it already morning? He rubbed his eyes and looked at the system bulletin board. Ting, the time for the daily lottery has come. On the system board, a gift box appears. One hand covers his mouth as he yawns, sigh, it's time for the lottery again. With one hand, he presses on the gift box, and when it opens, a paper puppet appears. A divine-level treasure, it can randomly summon someone stronger than the host. It can be used once a day, and the cooldown time is 24 hours. Zhang Yijian, while putting on his clothes, sighed, indeed it's another divine level, so boring. After getting ready, he went to Zhao Yirong's room, knocking on the door while muttering, I still have to find my apprentice. Opening the door, Zhao Yirong was already prepared to set off. Master, let's get going. Zhang Yijian exclaimed, you woke up pretty early, huh? The two of them began their journey. He excitedly shouted, "Let's go, let's set off." As they walked, the two chatted. "Yi Rong, tell me, what's your home like?" Zhao Yi Rong replied, "Yes, master." Bang, the sound of a metal hammer hitting the door. Outside, a group of fierce-looking people stood. Qiao Yong, holding a fan, stood in the middle and said, "Zhao family master, why haven't you come out to greet your guests yet?" The Zhao family master and his family stood up to stop him. He explained to Qiao Yong, "Qiao young master, I don't know what to do about my daughter escaping from the marriage, why do you have to act like this?" He arrogantly ignored the man's words, saying, "The woman I, Qiao Yong, wanted has escaped because of you, this should have a conclusion, right?" The Zhao family master asked him, "What kind of conclusion do you want?" Qiao Yong opened the fan in his hand, covering his mouth with it, revealing sharp, cold eyes as he said, "Use your life to make up for your crime." Zhao butler was stunned, "What? Don't joke with me," Qiao Yong retorted, "Do you see me joking?" Immediately, Qiao Yong's thugs, armed with weapons, surrounded the Zhao family master and his family. The Zhao family master exclaimed, "Qiao Yong, don't go too far." On the contrary, Qiao Yong felt pleased, "What if I oppress you? This is my territory." He commanded his men, "Charge, bring me the head of the Zhao family master." The Zhao family master frowned in suspicion. "What? Are you not joking?" Qiao Yong's subordinates charged forward without saying a word. He disdainfully let them rush towards the people in front of him and said, "Do I look like I'm joking?" The master of the Zhao family retorted, "Qiao Yong, don't you dare bully people excessively." He sneered in response, "What will you do if I do? This is all the territory of my Qiao family." The subordinates excitedly shouted to each other, "Let's go, bring back the head of the Zhao family master." The subordinates of the Zhao family master cautiously entered the fray, reminding their comrades to protect the family master. A battle broke out immediately, with both sides fighting fiercely without yielding. The sounds of serious injuries echoed continuously. It didn't take long for the protective barrier around the Zhao family master to weaken. Qiao Yong's subordinates seized the opportunity to rush towards him, shouting, "We must kill him." Naturally, the Zhao family master could not withstand the relentless assault from his opponents. He barely managed to block a strike from the left with his bare hands. On the right, someone had joined forces to deliver a fatal stab to his right shoulder, and Zhao Yi Rong's father was severely injured, kneeling on the ground. He trembled all over, crying out in pain. A heartless schemer appeared. Just as the Zhao family master slumped down, he lunged for his sword and shouted, "You will die." The strike of the sword was suddenly halted. From somewhere came a voice that interrupted, "Stop." Zhao Yi Rong and Zhang Yi Jian arrived just in time in the dangerous situation. The girl, extremely panicked, rushed to stop the thug. "Quickly let my father go." Qiao Yong, seeing a familiar face, exclaimed in surprise, "Zhao Yi Rong." The Zhao family master clutched his severely injured shoulder, and in a stern voice reminded his daughter, "Daughter, why are you here? Hurry and run away." Zhao Yi Rong, feeling aggrieved, ran to her father and whimpered, "Father, if I didn't come back, you would have died." The father replied sternly, "What does it matter if I die? As long as you are safe, that's all that matters." Qiao Yong approached the two of them and said, "Zhao Yi Rong, at first you were escaping from marriage, I guess you are thinking about the consequences now." He sneered, extending his hand to taunt her, "Now that you are back, I can let this go. Just obediently come back with me." Zhao Yi Rong disgustedly stepped back, avoiding his dirty hand. She straightened up and slapped him hard, her voice full of contempt. "You dog, are you dreaming?" Qiao Yong held his aching cheek, trembling in agitation, his fingers trembling as he pointed at Zhao Yi Rong, cursing, You dare to hit me?" Then he ordered his subordinates, "Where are you? Kill them all for me, leave not a single one alive." They responded with a loud, "Yes," and then prepared to rush forward. Zhao Yi Rong stood her ground, affirming, "I am now a disciple of the Tianyan sect, so go ahead and try to kill me." Qiao Yong, unimpressed by her words, replied, "Tianyan sect? Kill her." Zhang Yi Jian no longer stood by as a bystander, he ready to strike. In an instant, he blinked behind Qiao Yong, stretching out his arms to seize him. Immediately, Zhang Yijian slammed him down to the ground with speed and strength, saying, "You dare to touch my disciple and insult my Tianyan sect." His head was directly attacked by a stranger, and he screamed desperately, "You want to die, don't you?" He used his strength to lift Chao Yong's head up, the speed so fast it made him dizzy and he gasped. The subordinates rushed in wanting to ambush and catch him, eagerly calling for their young master. Zhang Yijian sternly threatened, "Don't come over here, or I'll take your young master's life." Chao Yong, being overthrown, stubbornly tried to fight back and cursed, "Damn it, who are you to lay a hand on me? I am the young master of the Chao family." Zhang Yijian coldly replied, "What is the Chao family? You touched the family of my disciple, and today you will pay the price." Chao Yong struggled to break free, saying, "Let me go, or you'll face the consequences." Zhang Yijian nearly lost his patience and slapped him hard, knocking out a front tooth, then shouted, "Are you talking so much, huh?" Chao Yong trembled in humiliation from being turned over. He took out his emergency summoning item and laughed, "You bastard, just because the old tiger doesn't show its power, do you think I'm a sick cat?" He raised it high, his eyes radiating ultimate fury. Saying this, Chao Yong knelt down and shouted loudly, calling for help, "Elder, save me." In the sky, a chaotic display of thunder and lightning erupted, with blue flashes of light spreading across an incredibly captivating area. Xiao Elder appeared, imposing like an immortal thunder god. His gaze sparkled with serious lightning, and he was surrounded by multiple bolts of thunder. He glared and spoke gruffly, "Chao Yong, why have you summoned me?" Chao Yong quickly knelt and pleaded, "Xiao Elder, someone wants to kill me, please lend your assistance." Hearing this, Xiao Elder became somewhat angry and leaned down to ask, "Who wishes to kill you?" Chao Yong quickly pointed at Zhang Yijian, accusing him, "It's him." Xiao Elder followed the direction of his finger and asked, "Little guy, I do not kill nameless people, state your name, and I will spare you." Zhang Yijian replied arrogantly, "Tianyan sect, Zhang Yijian." Hearing this, Xiao Elder's eyes relaxed a bit, and he said, "Tianyan sect." He let out a strange laugh and shouted, "What a small world. The Tianyan sect killed Lei Busi, my junior brother. I never expected to meet you here today." Zhang Yijian crossed his arms and sneered. "It was me who killed Lei Busi, and I also killed Kumu Elder, so what? Are you here to seek revenge?" Hearing this, Chao Yong slammed the ground in anger and shouted, "Is it you who killed him?" He frowned and gritted his teeth, "How could this be? Kumu Elder is ranked among the top 10 of the Lei Ting sect, how could he die at your hands?" A surge of sinister power and the voice of revenge from my sect for a life. Are you taking action yourself, or should I personally take action? Zhang Yijian stood tall and replied, "Last time old Kumu also wanted revenge but was killed by me, and this time you come seeking revenge, have you dug your own grave yet?" Upon hearing this, Xiao Elder's blood rushed to his brain, he clenched his fist with all his strength, raised his fist to attack Zhang Yijian, and shouted, "You must die." But Zhang Yijian calmly deflected that attack with his bare hands. Because of the attack from the Xiao Elder, the surroundings were significantly affected, and dirt and stones flew everywhere. Zhang Yijian remained calm and provoked him, "You talk a big game, but your strength is only this much." Upon hearing this, the Xiao Elder became even angrier, and the evil energy around him became more prominent. He wasted no time and charged at Zhang Yijian, shouting, "Let's see how long your bravado can last." Only then did Zhang Yijian unleash his spiritual energy to counter his attack, Infinite Hand. After his strike, the Xiao Elder was sent flying far away. He let out a painful cry and struggled to get up, his face distorted as he shouted, "How can this be? You actually have a divine level skill." With one hand, Zhang Yijian unleashed spiritual energy to attack him and said, "It's just a tiny divine level skill." He manifested a gigantic hand, summoned the Bagua array below, and his roar echoed, "I have plenty where that came from." The Xiao Elder did not sit idly by. He slammed his hand hard against the ground, unleashing spiritual energy to strike back. The ground cracked open, and the wind roared violently. Xiao Elder's eyes lit up as he shouted the name of the technique, Thunder Shield. However, His attack was quickly overcome by the giant fiery hand of Zhang Yijian, which crushed him tightly. Xiao Elder, panicking, shouted, "Little guy, let's make a deal, let's pretend nothing happened today, you go your sunny way, and I'll go my own path." Hearing this, Zhang Yijian responded, "So now you know fear. But it's too late." As soon as he finished speaking, the massive fiery fist lunged at Xiao Elder. He was engulfed in a sea of flames created by Zhang Yijian. Seeing Xiao Elder's predicament, Qiao Yong expressed panic and concern. How can this be? Even Xiao Elder has been defeated. Who the hell is he? Why is he so terrifying? Zhang Yijian approached Xiao Elder and leaned down, looking at his disheveled appearance with a contemptuous gaze. How does it feel to be revenged? Do you want to continue? With that, he forcefully pressed his face against the ground. However, he still refused to back down, gritting his teeth in anger. "You dare to offend the Lei Ting sect, do you know the consequences?" Zhang Yijian did not let him speak further, forcefully kicking him and shouting, "What a waste of words." Blood splattered out, causing him to cry out in pain. "Ah!" Everyone was visibly excited at the outcome of Xiao Elder. Zhao Yirong exclaimed eagerly, "Master is really strong, I admire you more and more." Jiang Yiyun joyfully remarked, "To be by Master's side is truly an honor." Zhang Yijian turned to look at Qiao Yong, struggling on the ground. He looked at him with contempt and asked, "Now it's your turn, what's it going to be? Do you still want to rob people?" At that moment, Qiao Yong finally realized fear. He grovelingly pleaded, "Zhang grandfather, Zhang immortal, please be magnanimous and spare me." Zhang Yijian showed no mercy, kicking him hard in the shoulder and said, "Spare you? Did you spare my disciple before?" He stepped on him and declared, "I give you two choices. One option is to commit suicide, the other is within 3 days to give half of Qiao's family's assets to the Xiao family, otherwise he will die." Qiao Yong lay on the ground, grimacing, stammering, "Option 2, I choose option 2. Zhang Yijian tightly grasped Qiao Yong's arm, lifted him up and said, "I haven't finished speaking yet." Zhang Yijian decisively broke his arm. Qiao Yong cried out in pain, then continued, "Choosing option 2 is fine." Qiao Yong cried out in anguish, hugging his arm, while Zhang Yijian firmly stepped on him and loudly said, "But a death sentence can be pardoned, a life crime is hard to escape." Qiao Yong gasped in pain. After a moment he began foaming at the mouth, uttering a few "ugh" sounds, then fell unconscious. Seeing Qiao Yong defeated by Zhang Yijian, the subordinate screamed in fear and ran away. "Young Master Qiao is unconscious, what should we do now?" As they said, Qiao Yong lay motionless under Zhang Yijian's foot. He stepped over Qiao Yong and said, "Why are you just standing there, why aren't you hurrying back? If it's too late, he really will die." Qiao Yong's subordinates began to panic, pulling Qiao Yong away. Along with that was the noisy, "Yes, yes, sir." Zhao Yirong's father approached him and clasped his hands in gratitude. "Mr. Zhang, today thanks to your intervention, I, Zhao Jin, am immensely grateful." Zhang Yijian smiled politely. "Family master is being too formal, your daughter is my disciple, so it's only right to act this way." 3 hours later at Lei Ting sect, the 3 tokens on the table bearing the names of the 3 elders of Lei Ting sect shattered into pieces. The master of Lei Ting sect, in a fit of rage, slammed his hands on the table as thunder roared and shouted, "Damn it, how could our 3 elders of Lei Ting sect die one after another like this? It's simply absurd." Qing Xianzi quickly clasped his hands and reported, "Master, I have sent someone to investigate, and the deaths of the 3 elders were caused by a single person." He gritted his teeth and continued, "That person is a peak master of Tianyan sect, named Zhang Yijian." Upon hearing this, the master became even angrier and yelled, "Is it those Tianyan sect people again?" Qing Xianzi continued to add, "Tianyan sect is one of the 3 major sections. We are not easy to provoke, we must find a way to attack from the side." Another elder furrowed his brows in anger and questioned, "Qing Xianzi, do you have any opinions?" Qing Xianzi suggested solemnly, "In 1 month, we will organize a martial arts competition, and the key figures of the Tianyan sect will also participate." Another elder beside him immediately asked, "I understand now, you mean to deal with Zhang Yijian at the conference, right? Qing Xianzi replied, exactly. As long as he enters my Lei Ting sect, he won't be able to survive leaving. The master agreed loudly with Qing Xianzi, let's do it this way, we must avenge our elder's grudge. At night, when the moon rose high, the quiet atmosphere of the city was shattered as a fiery shadow burst through the wall. A massive fire lion flew through the air. The guards tightly gripped their weapons and shouted, "Beast, where do you think you're going?" Without hesitation, he charged toward it and yelled, "Don't even think about causing chaos in the city any longer." He struck the fire lion fiercely with his weapon. The fire lion is not to be trifled with. It roared, knocking the guard away. After that, it ignored them and ran in another direction. Two other guards quickly chased after it, shouting, "Hurry up, don't let it escape." The other guard, in pain, held his stomach and muttered, "Damn it, today the city lord ordered the capture of this demon beast to bring it back for trial, but I'm powerless to do it." Meanwhile, at the Xiao family residence, Zhang Yijian and everyone were enjoying their meal. Zhao Jin raised a wine cup and invited, "Zhang Xingxian, I can't thank you enough with words, so I'll leave it all in this cup of wine. Please feel free, I'll drain this cup." Zhang Yijian, not being polite, lifted the cup and drank it all. "The family master is too polite, let's finish it." Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun both lifted wine pots, wanting to pour more wine for Zhang Yijian. Zhao Yirong, blushing and shy, said, "Master has worked hard, this banquet was specially prepared for you by my father, please drink a little more." Zhang Yijian, already blushing from the alcohol, raised the wine cup and slurred, "Ugh, I can't drink much, master has a poor alcohol tolerance." Then he collapsed onto the table. Seeing this, Zhao Yirong worriedly said, "Oh, master's alcohol tolerance is not good." Zhao Jin quickly reminded, "Daughter, help Zhang Shengyan to the living room to rest." Zhao Yirong obediently helped Zhang Yijian to her shoulder, "Yes, father." Jiang Yiyun also stepped up to assist, "Let me help." The two girls struggled to bring Zhang Yijian into the living room, laboriously placing him down on the bed. Zhao Yirong gasped, "Phew, master is too heavy, I'm exhausted." Jiang Yiyun then cautioned, "Be gentle, don't wake the master." Suddenly, a cup fell to the ground. Zhao Yirong looked at Jiang Yiyun and said, Let's leave first." She intended to leave, but Zhang Yijian grabbed her hand to stop her. Zhao Yirong fell into Zhang Yijian's embrace, feeling embarrassed, and said, "Don't go." Zhang Yijian mumbled incoherently, "Let's keep drinking." Zhao Yirong looked at Jiang Yiyun for help and whispered, "Junior sister, save me." Jiang Yiyun nodded knowingly and replied, But as she took a step forward, she accidentally stepped on a cup on the floor and lost her balance, falling forward and exclaiming, while closing her eyes tightly. Thus, Zhang Yijian was comfortably sleeping, holding two beautiful women in his arms. Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun blushed, lying on the bed and looking at each other. At this moment, Zhang Yijian turned to Jiang Yiyun, pouted, and mumbled, "Wine, I want to drink more." Jiang Yiyun, with red eyes tightly closed, whispered, "Oh no, master is drunk and doesn't know anything." Suddenly, the wall showed signs of cracking, and the fire lion unexpectedly charged into the room, breaking down the wall. Jiang Yiyun and Zhao Yirong sat up in surprise. The fire lion growled as it took steps inside. Zhao Yirong frowned at it and said, "What is this? Why are there demon beasts here?" It suddenly roared in anger, and Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun unleashed their true qi, communicating with each other. "The demon beast seems to be targeting us." Jiang Yiyun firmly said, "Protect the master." As soon as she spoke, the fire lion pounced towards them. Jiang Yiyun quickly drew her sword and shouted, "Be careful." The sound of the sword clashing against the claws created a deafening noise. Jiang Yiyun struggled a bit to hold back the sword and keep the fire lion at bay. Zhao Yirong unleashed true qi in her hands and feet, frowning as she said, "This demon beast is at the third rank, we cannot be careless, we must use all our strength to protect the master." Saying that, she waved her palm and struck at the fire lion. The bald guard immediately chased after the trail of the fire lion, shouting, "Hurry up, we must not let that demon beast escape." But at that moment, the fire lion suddenly ran outside. After running a short distance, it collapsed on the ground, howling in pain, much to the confusion of the disciples. The bald man looked at it in puzzlement. What is going on? At this time, Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun also rushed outside with their swords. Both of them swung their swords, generating a stream of spiritual energy, ready to fight as they said to each other, "That beast has entered the villa. You will die." The fire lion growled angrily, looking around. Then, it seemed to lose control and charged forward to attack the two people, Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun. However, it did not attack them but quickly dashed past, heading towards Zhang Yijian's room. Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun panicked and shouted, "This is bad, it's heading towards the master." Jiang Yiyun pulled out a talisman, ignited it, frowned, and shouted, "We can't let it hurt the master." Saying that, she threw the talisman at the fire lion. The talisman hit it, and immediately a massive explosion erupted violently. Even Zhang Yijian, who was asleep like a log, was jolted awake, his eyes wide open. The disciples who witnessed this were shocked and exclaimed, "It's a divine-level talisman." The blue-haired man was also astonished and gasped, "Oh my gosh, a divine-level talisman is a priceless treasure, why use it like this?" The brown-haired man echoed, "What a terrifying explosion, those two women must be immortals." Jiang Yiyun didn't care how powerful the divine weapon was, as long as she could protect the master, she would use it right away. She saw the fire lion explode and joyfully exclaimed, "Phew, luckily I was given a divine-level talisman by the master, otherwise, the consequences would have been catastrophic." The bald man ran towards the two, thinking, "What luck, meeting immortals here, we are saved." He rushed over, bowed, and said loudly, "Song He pays respects to the two immortals. You immortals slaying demon beasts, shaking the heavens and the earth, your prowess is truly admirable." Upon hearing this, Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun were slightly astonished and replied, "Immortals? We're not." Song He assumed the two were being modest and admired them even more, saying, "Immortals are being humble." Looking at the room that had been devastated, where Zhang Yijian was sitting in a daze, Song He continued, "Earlier, you two saved a mortal, demonstrating incredible power, so you must be immortals." Jiang Yiyun listened with a puzzled expression, assessing Song He. Zhao Yirong, feeling a bit angry, responded, "What mortal? That person is our master, right?" Song He was shocked, falling back and shouting, "What? A master?" At this moment, Zhang Yijian came out from inside, walked over to Song He, and asked the two female disciples, "Disciple, what happened just now? Why did you blow up my room?" Jiang Yiyun bowed respectfully and replied, "Master, there was a demon beast ambush just now, so I used the divine-level talisman you gave me to slay it." Song He was still in shock, sweating profusely, thinking, "This man is actually the master of immortals. Moreover, that green talisman was given by him. Terrifying, so terrifying." Zhang Yijian then noticed Song He and turned to ask, "Oh, by the way, who are you?" When Song He heard the question, he quickly bowed and respectfully replied, "Honorable immortal, I am a subordinate of the city lord, sent here to eliminate the demon beasts that harm the people." Zhang Yijian stroked his chin while looking at him and said, "City lord? I'm not familiar with that. Do not know if the immortals are willing to go meet the city lord. The city lord has recently been troubled by demon beasts, and hopes the immortals can provide assistance. Recently, there has been a 5th-grade demon beast causing havoc outside the city, which has made the city lord very worried. If the immortals agree to help the city lord, then there is no need to fear that 5th-grade demon beast anymore." As Song He finished speaking, the system interface displayed the task, "Ting, new disciple detected, city lord, please make haste to accept the disciple." Zhang Yijian stroked his chin and thought, "Is there a new disciple already?" Song He earnestly bowed and pleaded, "Immortals, the people in the city need your help, I hope you can assist us." Zhang Yijian chuckled softly, then confidently said, "Lead me to meet the city lord." Hearing this, Song He was overjoyed and replied, "Yes, yes, thank you immortals for your support." That night at Tianlu City, in the city lord's residence, all the guards inside were extremely anxious and kept reporting to the city lord, "We sent 100 people to surround and suppress the demon beasts, but none survived." The power of a 5th-grade demon beast is incomparable. The city lord should still give up on surrounding and suppressing it. Zhang Xiao, the city lord, frowned in anger and shouted, "Damn it, do you know how many people will die at the hands of the 5th-grade demon beasts if they roam outside the city?" The 2 guards, hearing her words, fearfully retorted, "But we have no other options. Are we really going to risk the lives of all the citizens in the town?" "That's right, so if the demon beasts ambush humans, what difference does it make?" Zhang Qiao, the city lord, gritted her teeth in anger, slammed the table, and yelled, "Damn it, my father died at its hands, leading me to hastily take up this position. I can only blame my ineptitude for being unable to take revenge and provide for the people." The assembly hall was extremely tense at this moment when Song He entered with the 3 students, Zhang Yijian, happily exclaiming, "City lord, I have brought people to help you." Zhang Qiao, the city lord, exclaimed in surprise, "Song He?" The green-haired man looked outside and suspiciously asked, "Song He, what kind of helpers have you brought?" The green-haired man showed little regard and said, "Are you saying it's those kids behind you?" Song He angrily retorted, "Impertinent, don't be disrespectful to the immortals." The city lord of Zhang Qiao shouted, "Everyone shut up." She walked down, approached Song He, and asked, "What is going on? Explain it clearly to me." Song He replied seriously, "City lord, tonight I saw 2 immortal disciples demonstrating their strength, and they killed the demon beasts I was pursuing. So I brought them here, hoping the immortals could help eliminate that 5th-rank demon beast." As soon as this was said, the blind fools inside laughed mockingly, "Haha, relying on them? They are just a few kids, you're boasting too much." The city lord of Zhang Qiao questioned with suspicion, "Can you really kill the 5th-rank demon beasts?" Zhang Yijian confidently answered, "No, not us, but just me." The city lord of Zhang Qiao continued to ask, "May I ask what is your cultivation?" Zhang Yijian answered without hesitation, "Golden elixir." As this sentence was spoken, the group inside couldn't help but burst into laughter and mock him. "Golden elixir and you dare to kill a level 5 demon beast? You've really gone mad. The 5 golden elixir cultivators we sent out have all perished in the jaws of that divine beast. You are truly talking nonsense." Zhang Qiao sighed in despair, turned away, and said, "You should just go back." Zhang Yijian paid no attention to the foolish ones inside and looked at Zhang Qiao, asking, "What's wrong? Don't you believe me?" Hearing the question, Zhang Qiao bluntly replied, "That demon beast is not something a golden elixir can handle. You'll surely die if you go." Zhang Yijian found it a little amusing and said, "Then let's make a bet. If I win, you will take me as your master, if I lose, you can do whatever you want with me." Zhang Qiao was taken aback and asked, "Are you serious?" Zhang Yijian affirmed, "Of course." Zhang Qiao furrowed his brow, still unable to believe him, and said, "If you want me to bet, that's fine, but you have to show me your strength first." She said, then crossed her arms, exhaled, and somewhat indifferently called out, "Fong Elder, why don't you try a move with him? If he loses, I won't need to bet." Upon being addressed, Fong Elder chuckled and stepped forward, replying, "Understood, City Lord." After responding, he lifted his foot and jumped high, then unleashed a burst of powerful true qi. Looking down at Zhang Yijian with arrogance, he said, "I'll make you find your teeth on the ground." After saying that, he spread his arms like a large bear and charged downward with a wave of formidable spiritual energy. Down below, Zhang Yijian did not appear flustered, he merely frowned and raised his hand to generate a wave of spiritual energy to counter. Then, the 2 waves of spiritual energy clashed, neutralizing each other. Zhang Yijian smirked and said, "Golden elixir mid-stage, huh? Hee, that's a bit interesting." Fong Elder then created a true body of fire enveloped by spirit flame and quickly rushed to attack Zhang Yijian, shouting, "Little guy, where do you think you're running? Dreaming of becoming the master of the city lord? What are your immortals worth? In battle, no one talks as much as he does." Zhang Yijian stood below, shaking his head as he watched him flail around above. He did not need to exert himself or do anything tiring, he simply grabbed the man's head gently and then slammed it down onto the floor, saying, "Huh? Colorful and flowery." With just this gentle blow, the man was left groaning in pain, lying in one spot. The ground was also cracked in one section. The few people inside were now astonished, their mouths agape, unable to believe and asking each other, how could this happen? Fang Elder is the best among us, how could he lose? Zhang Xiao also looked at Zhang Yijian differently, thinking, in the midst of battle, this man remained very calm, could it be that he is very strong? After dealing with Fang Elder, Zhang Yijian turned to Zhang Xiao and asked, so, what about our bet? Are you willing to continue? Zhang Xiao was not panicking about this bet with Zhang Yijian. You have some strength, but the 5th grade demon beast has the ability to activate a field. If you are not afraid, I can agree to this bet. Zhang Yijian was not afraid, on the contrary, he looked down on the demon beast she mentioned. It's just a little 5th grade demon beast. After 3 more days, we will take its dog life. Hearing this from him, Zhang Xiao had nothing more to say and stepped forward to hook pinkies with him. Okay, I hope you don't brag. The elders inside, seeing that things were going smoothly, started to stir up trouble. This little guy definitely has ulterior motives, otherwise, why wait 3 days to set off? Another elder chimed in, it doesn't matter when we leave, what's the need for suspicion? Seeing Zhang Xiao getting a bit angry, Zhang Yijian stopped her by raising his hand and said, first, let's go back and prepare a bit, we will come back in 3 days. With that, he decisively walked outside, calling out loudly, disciple, let's go. Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun followed behind, replying, understood, master. Upon returning to their residence, Zhang Yijian started rummaging through a pile of skills in front of him. I remember there was a cultivation skill somewhere, where could it be? Jiang Yiyun looked at Zhang Yijian, puzzled, and said, master said we should gather in the morning, I wonder what he wants to do. Zhao Yirong also couldn't understand and replied, I don't know, but it's rare to see the master so serious like this. After a moment, Zhang Yijian happily held up a skill book titled Rapid Cultivation Technique and said, ah, I found it. He then looked at his 2 disciples and thought, this skill book can help my disciples quickly break through in cultivation. By then, I will also advance a level, and hunting a 5th-tier beast will no longer be a problem. Thinking this, he threw the skill book to Zhao Yirong and said, this skill book is for you both. Remember to practice diligently, it's extremely beneficial for you. Hearing this, the 2 joyfully replied in unison, thank you, master. When they opened the skill book, they were very excited, but when they saw the content inside, Zhao Yirong blushed and looked at her master, saying, master, there seems to be something wrong with this skill. Zhang Yijian, confused, asked, what is it? She held the skill book up for her master to see and blushed as she said, it says here that you need to collect yang energy, and when cultivating, you must immerse yourself in yin water. Zhang Yijian opened his mouth in shock as he looked at the skill book and asked, is it the Heart Sutra of the Jade Maiden? Zhao Yirong frowned slightly and replied, what do you mean by the Jade Maiden Heart Sutra? Zhang Yijian suddenly blushed and said, no, it's nothing. He then thought, oh, I just remember the effect of this skill, but completely forget the content. Jiang Yiyun innocently exclaimed, master, since you have nothing to do today, let's practice this skill together. Zhang Yijian shyly asked, me? No way, it's inappropriate for men and women. His 2 female disciples excitedly ran over and hugged Zhang Yijian's arms, each saying, I trust master's character, you definitely won't do anything inappropriate. I trust master too, come on, let's go practice. The 2 of them continued to hold Zhang Yijian's hands and pulled him along in confusion, are you really going to do it? Then all 3 of them sat together in a hot spring to practice. Zhao Yirong and Jiang Yiyun intertwined their hands, closed their eyes, and said, master, we can start now. Zhang Yijian also replied, all right, let's get started. Following that, the sounds of the 2 girls screaming echoed with great difficulty. Both could hardly endure the wave of power and managed to voice out, the yang energy is too strong, I can't take it anymore. I'm the same, the yang energy makes my head feel numb, another girl answered. From the screams of the 2 girls, the system also displayed their ranks. Zhao Yirong reached the early stage of foundation establishment, while Jiang Yiyun had reached the peak of foundation establishment. As for Zhang Yijian, since his 2 disciples had advanced, he also felt a bit uncomfortable in terms of realm. Ting, congratulations host, your disciples have successfully broken through, triggering 1,000 times cultivation. Host has broken through to Golden Elixir Peak. After a while, all three were exhausted and lay sprawled in the barrel, breathing heavily. Zhang Yijian spread his arms to support his two disciples. Master, this skill is too domineering, it only took a short time to break through. It feels like my body is very light. Zhang Yijian sighed and rubbed the heads of the two, saying, breaking through is good. The master was also very pleased. On the side of Zhang Xiao and the elders of the city lord's mansion, two elders could not contain themselves and spoke up, City Lord, do you really believe that little guy? It's the third day already, he definitely won't come back. Even if he comes, it will only mean death. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Yijian arrogantly entered with his two disciples and said loudly, sorry, I'm late. The pink-haired man, upon seeing Zhang Yijian enter, mocked him, oh, he really came, the young fool who doesn't know life and death. Zhang Qiao also spoke to Zhang Yijian, we've located the demon beasts, you still have time to regret now. Zhang Yijian didn't want to say much and urged, don't waste words, take me there. Zhang Qiao walked past Zhang Yijian and said, alright, follow me. The group led by Zhang Qiao and Zhang Yijian ventured deep into a forest. Zhang Qiao stopped and pointed inside, saying, the 5th grade demon beasts are up ahead, you should go there by yourself, we will observe from the outside. Zhang Yijian replied briefly, got it, and then took off, shouting, let me handle this, I'll be back in a bit. The guys below watched him go and couldn't help but comment, this guy is really in a hurry to go reincarnate. The pink-haired guy, pretending to be disdainful, said, I bet he won't last even a moment, not even 10 seconds. Zhang Yijian landed lightly in an area full of dead demon beasts. He looked around and said, where are the 5th grade demon beasts? He noticed a purple demon beast being eaten by another oddly shaped demon beast, which had a piece of flesh in its mouth. It turned its head to look at Zhang Yijian, and upon seeing it, Zhang Yijian grinned and said, ah, found you. The demon beast charged at Zhang Yijian with the intent to attack. He didn't let himself be outdone, he leaped and shouted, killing you means I get another disciple, so die. The demon beast launched an attack towards Zhang Yijian, who swiftly dodged it, causing the attack to miss and strike the ground instead, resulting in an incredibly strong wave of spiritual energy. Zhang Yijian turned over and launched a counterattack against it. He opened his hands, creating a gentle yet powerful stream of spiritual energy. He struck it directly with a blow, casually asking, is this a 5th level demon beast? The force of the strike pierced right through its body. The elders outside, witnessing this scene, panicked and shouted, am I seeing things? That little guy actually managed to injure a 5th level demon beast. Others chimed in, all expressing their confusion, we have so many people trying to get close to it, and yet he killed it with just one strike. Zhang Qiao calmly observed the situation. She frowned, not underestimating the circumstances, thinking, it's still a bit early, this demon beast is not simple at all. Just as she thought, the 5th level monster erupted with power, roaring as it attacked Zhang Yijian. But he was no ordinary opponent, he immediately disappeared right before its eyes. He used the technique Heavenly Shadow Body, circling around it and creating countless clones, sneering as he said, you were pierced through and yet didn't die, that's a bit interesting. It roared and charged at one of the clones, grabbing tightly onto the illusionary copy. Then, in anger, it used its hands to tear the phantom body into 100 pieces. It desperately ran here to smash the phantoms, then ran over there to attack, but still could not find the real Zhang Yijian. Zhang Qiao, standing outside watching the situation, was equally bewildered, what on earth is going on? Inside, the monster was still frantically clawing at the phantoms of Zhang Yijian. He suddenly appeared behind it, teasingly asking, are you very angry? He swung a sword filled with thunderous energy, striking fiercely. Then he jumped high, swinging the sword down, and said to it, then let me show you my true power. Seeing this, it couldn't dodge in time, so it just stood there, bracing for impact, raising its hands to shield itself. A strike from Zhang Yijian came down, severing both of its arms. Zhang Yijian seized the advantage and pressed the attack, saying, "You are the first one to survive under my divine sword, but that's all there is to it." Each sword strike landed heavily on its body. Its entire body was slashed in several places, but it was not an easy opponent. It howled and regenerated the severed parts. Its two arms regrew completely as if they had never been harmed. It charged directly in, gripping the sword of Zhang Yijian, catching him by surprise and making him exclaim. It exerted even more force, tightly squeezing Zhang Yijian's sword, creating an incredibly powerful field of demon beasts. It let out a loud roar in front of Zhang Yijian, which made him even more excited. "So there is a field, huh? Its strength is quite impressive," it growled, raising its fist with the intention of punching Zhang Yijian. Immediately, he easily dodged its attack. It swung its other fist, striking directly at Zhang Yijian's chest, knocking him down to the ground. He quickly got back up but was a bit staggered. Zhang Yijian truly could not underestimate it, nursing one shoulder while looking at it. The field can increase its attack speed, quite interesting. It didn't understand what he was saying and charged at him again. Zhang Yijian pulled out a paper dummy, his expression sharpening, and burned it, saying, "If that's the case, then I have no choice but to play my trump card." The small paper dummy had now transformed into a paper person, a very large fire puppet. The paper mannequin was not gentle either as it yelled out several times. The flames inside it flared up. Then, following Zhang Yijian's command, it punched down towards the monster. "Evil creature, accept your death." A rain of blood was splattered right above Zhang Yijian. He raised his hand to catch it, saying, "Is this dead? How cruel." The group of elders, along with Zhang Xiao, were stunned by the scene. After that, everyone was left in shock, shouting out loud, "Did we win? No way, did we really win? Why does it feel like I'm dreaming? That little guy is actually strong. No, he's really an immortal." Zhang Yijian walked over to the group of Zhang Xiao, smiling and saying, "The 5th grade demon beasts have been dealt with, you all don't need to worry anymore." The elders who had mocked him before now shamelessly knelt down and called out, "Immortal, your strength is as clear as day now. It was my fault for not seeing it before, please forgive me. Please forgive me, Immortal." Zhang Yijian showed no interest and coldly turned away, saying, "Get up, knowing you were wrong is good. Don't look down on others with those dog-like eyes anymore." The group of elders quickly replied, "Understood, esteemed immortals." Zhang Yijian then turned to the main character in this matter and asked, "City Lord, I've won. Have you come to respect me now?" The elders behind him quickly changed their demeanor, hinting to her about Zhang Yijian's extraordinary power. "The power of the immortals is profound. If you can take him as your master, City Lord, you could gain a great opportunity. Please, kneel and pay your respects to your master." Zhang Qiao, no longer doubtful of Zhang Yijian's strength, quickly knelt down and said, "Zhang Qiao pays respects to master." Just waiting for this phrase, the system chimed in, "Ting, congratulations host on successfully receiving your 3rd disciple, the reward will be a large gift package." The system revealed a small gift bag. Zhang Yijian was a bit surprised, reaching out to take it and saying, "Oh, there's even a gift package. There must be quite a few good things inside, right?" But Zhang Yijian didn't care much, tossing it directly into Zhang Qiao's hands. "However, I don't really need it that much, just give it to the new apprentice." Zhang Qiao received the gift bag and opened it slowly, asking in confusion, "Master, this is?" Zhang Yijian replied, "It's a gift for your apprenticeship." Zhang Qiao took out several magic weapons from inside and asked, "A gift for apprenticeship?" The elders behind them were astonished to see the magic weapons inside the bag, exclaiming, "Oh my gosh, that's a divine level skill, and in addition to the skill, there are also 2 divine level weapons. This is truly incredible." Zhang Qiao looked excitedly at the skill book and asked her master, "Master, are you really giving me these?" Zhang Yijian calmly responded, "Of course." Zhang Qiao then knelt before Zhang Yijian, saying, "Thank you, master. Zhang Qiao is truly grateful from the bottom of my heart." Zhang Yijian bent down to help her up and said, "These are just minor divine weapons. Come with me to the sixth peak, I have many better things to give you." Zhang Qiao hesitated a bit and replied, "Master, I still have many matters to resolve in the city." Zhang Yijian lightly smiled and reassured her, "It's okay. You handle it first, then you can go. I will wait for you." Zhang Qiao said with peace of mind, thanking the master for understanding. Zhang Yijian and Zhao Yirong, Jiang Yiyun said while leaving, "All right, I will go back to the sixth peak first, I will wait for you there." Zhang Qiao replied, "Understood, master." On the side of the Tianyan sect, the master peaks and the master were sitting together discussing among themselves. The master spoke up and said, "Everyone, the Lei Ting sect is about to hold a martial arts competition, and they will let Zhang Yijian go into battle." The red-haired Master Peak spoke up, "This is not a simple matter, they will definitely target Zhang Master Peak. Zhang Master Peak is the future hope of our Tianyan sect, nothing can happen to him." The master also had a plan and said seriously, "I have already sent someone to find Zhang Yijian, and when he returns, we will continue to discuss countermeasures." A voice from outside called out, "Master, I heard about the martial arts competition on my way back. This is a great opportunity for practice." Everyone turned their heads to see. Zhang Yijian walked in calmly, sat down, and continued, "I heard that after the conference, the Holy Realm will be opened, and there will be many opportunities there. I want to take my disciple there." The master quickly raised his hand to stop him, anxiously saying, "No, if you enter the Lei Ting sect, you will definitely be retaliated against, it's absolutely out of the question." Zhang Yijian, with an expression unchanged, retorted to the master, "Is it possible that being in the Tianyan sect means they won't seek revenge on me?" The master hesitated a bit, responding, "Well." Zhang Yijian continued with his arms crossed, "Don't worry, if they dare to do anything, I will eradicate the Lei Ting sect as well." Master Qian of the Peak also felt this was reasonable and spoke up, "What Zhang Master Peak says does have some merit, the Lei Ting sect will definitely retaliate, so whether we go or not is the same. If that's the case, why not go and see?" Zhang Yijian slammed the table and said loudly, "Then let's decide on that, I will participate in this martial arts conference." On the side of the Lei Ting sect, the master then asked Qing Xianzi, "How is the killing formation prepared?" Qing Xianzi clasped his hands and said, reporting to the master, "The preparation is complete, we just need to wait for the final performance." Qing Xianzi waved his hand, "Someone hurry and bring the young master in here." Chao Yong was pushed inside by a subordinate. As soon as Chao Yong was pushed in, he cried out in anguish, "Lay Master, Qing Xianzi Elder, Zhang Yijian has turned me into a cripple, you must avenge me." Qing Xianzi waved his hand and frowned, "No need to shout, I have my own way." A stream of purple true qi surrounded his hand in a mysterious manner. "This is a leftover spiritual weapon from Zhang Yijian." He waved his hand and placed it into the formation, then explained, "I will put it into the formation and it will automatically lock onto Zhang Yijian. At that time, the Thunder Soldiers in general will eternally hunt Zhang Yijian, unless someone else breaks the formation, he will not be able to escape." He imagined the scene of Thunder Soldiers and generals surrounding Zhang Yijian within the formation. And that's the end of the story, see you in the next chapter.